journey begins in Lublin, where I would present my one-man play, based on a short story by Polish-Jewish writer Isaac Bashevis Singer. Most of my life I avoided coming to Poland, even though my family roots were here. It was hard for me to reconcile myself to a place where almost every trace of Jewish existence had been wiped out during the Holocaust. But when the time came, I found it hard to explain what I was doing here. Why had I really come?
What is this?
Well, at least I could explain bringing the shovel and tombstone. They were the props for my theatrical production.
It's a prop that I use for the play.
My adaptation of Gimpel the Fool premiered at the Edinburgh International Fringe Festival in 2005 and has since toured around the world. Now here I was, bringing the character of Gimpel back home to where he was originally created, with all its contradictions. I thought it was kind of ironic that I would begin by joining up with the festival in Chelm, but more about that later.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Agnes.
Nice to meet you.
You must be Howard.
Yes.
Witek is waiting.
Oh, Witek's waiting. Good, good. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Thank you.
Witek was the founder and director of Theatre and Singer Festival.
Witek?
Hi.
Witek was a man on a mission, a Polish-born non-Jew trying to reconcile the past with the present.
I'm tired, but I'm really happy to be here.
But we don't have the time to rest, I'm sorry. So we have to work. We are visiting 12 cities. This is our journey. We start in 2 days, and the first day you present Gimpel the Fool in English with Polish subtitles.
I'm Gimpel the Fool. Well, I don't think myself a fool. On the contrary, that's what folks called me. But when all the leg pullers and the pranksters found out that I was easy to fool, every one of them had to have a try. Hey, Gimpel, the Tsar's coming to Frample. Hey, Gimpel, the moon fell down in Turbine. Hey, Gimpel, little Holofur piece found a hidden treasure behind the bathhouse. And I, like a golem, believed everyone. Well, firstly, everything is possible, as it is written in the wisdom of our fathers. And second, I had to believe when the whole town came down on me. If I dared say, you're kidding, well, people get angry. They say, what do you mean? Are you calling all of us a liar? What was I supposed to do? I believed them and hoped that that would do them some good.
When I wrote Gimpel the Fool, which is considered one of my best stories, I got my honorarium was 20 pounds. When it was translated by his son Bella, we got for it $120. You know, and let me tell you that Bella got a half and I a half. So he got $60 and I $60. And to me this looked already like big money. Yeah.
Okay, my name is Howard Ripp. I originally come from Winnipeg, Canada, but for the last 30 years I've been living in Israel, doing theater there.
Now we should go, and I will introduce you, and I will introduce to you the other artists. Arek is a director of that show, that big performance. These performers have come from all over the world and are now rehearsing a circus adaptation of Simper's novel, The Magician of Lublin. At the beginning of our performance, we have the motif of the water. This motif, I hope that this is the same meaning of Arek, the director of that performance, is that the water is a memory. And we are collecting every single drop of that memory. And every single drop is such important for us. It's a kind of treasure. Like every single trace of Jewish existence.
Before we left Helm, I tried to imagine what it would be like if young Gimpel came back here to find what traces were left of this fabled town. Why fabled? Because so many of the Singer stories were set here. The wise men of Helm, the Schlemiel of Helm. The people of Helm were known to lack any sort of sense. Everyone in Helm was foolish, and everything was backward. In fact, people were known to walk backwards. Only in Helm would a synagogue endure such a transition. The building was still there. You could see signs of it every time you looked up. But when you looked down, all around were the strangest sights. Going down to the second floor was kind of a disco. And on the ground floor was the Mackenzie Saloon, a genuine saloon from the Wild West. Only in Helm. Agnes, the director of the Cultural Center, told me she tried to stop the sale of the synagogue, but it was too late. She brought me to the Helm Jewish graveyard, and even there, it seemed surreal. Everything was shiny and new.
Before the Shoah, in Helm lived 18,000 Jews, and only 100 or maybe 200 survived. We want to forget. It's because we are ashamed. If we can't deal with our past, we can't move forward.
Most of the names of the Polish towns where I was to present Gimpel the Fool were familiar to me. Zamość, Lublin, Krasnik, Belgorod. They were all settings in Isaac Bashevis Singer's stories. But Frampol was not on the list. Gimpel the Fool is set in Frampol. So on my first day off, I left the festival in Helm and drove to Frampol. Gimpel the Fool had not been seen nor heard of in Poland since before the Holocaust. For a fool like Gimpel, this time warp was impossible to comprehend.
Hey, Gimpel. Hey, Gimpel. Your father and mother have stood up from their grave. They're looking for you. Not there, Gimpel. Over here. No. Over here, Gimpel. Here, Gimpel.
Throughout the tour, whenever I was spun around and confused, what always brought me back to focus was our daily ritual. Wittig would begin by setting up his display of all the Polish towns in the area where the Jews had once lived a vibrant life, before they vanished and were forgotten.
We were looking for the witness of that world. We want to find a piece as much as possible, but sometimes this is, just itself of that identity. It was late, but never is too late.
The graveyard that unlocked something hidden and never discussed. The graveyard that could trigger the testimonies of the second-generation Polish witnesses to the horrors of what happened.
Mnie ta tematyka zawsze interesowała.
Ze względu na te
Małego dziecka można powiedzieć. Dlatego ja się tak przekłamuję zainteresowany starszych rodziców. Jeszcze jest taka starsza
My father spoke Yiddish, my mother, my grandfather, and there's no reason why I should stop speaking in it, because there are less Jews, because Hitler killed a few millions of those who speak it. This would mean really to comply to Hitler, to do what he wanted.
The first thing I can say about my grandfather, that he was a very curious man, very gentle, or I would say very sensitive and very spiritual. He would come up to you and ask a lot of questions.
I never lose this passion to find more and more topics and more ways of expressing the people whom I know or whom I think I know. I think that a writer should write about the things and about the people he knows best. And I know best the Polish people, the Polish Jewish people, also some Polish non-Jewish people. And even when it comes to Poland, I know best the Jewish people of a certain part of the country.
All of those places where we are going are described by Bashevitz in his literature. For example, Bychawa. Bychawa is a town from the story about Gimpel, a student of yeshiva.
I would perform my play at the same synagogue that Yentl disguised herself as a boy to study and pray there.
So today we're doing it in the Chavya, which is an old synagogue, which is hardly a theater. So it's quite a challenge walking into a place that's just been left there to decay. And now we're bringing life to it. It's the world before the war, but it's in their region completely. So it's it really hits home when I say it. I even brought in a doctor from Lublin. I mean, when I did it in Egypt or in Armenia or Bulgaria or Macedonia, it didn't mean anything. But when I do it now and I say I brought in a doctor from Lublin, everyone thinks, wow.
Nevertheless, when I left the rabbinical court, the rabbi's daughter took me in.
Gimpel, have you kissed the wall yet?
What should I kiss the wall for?
It's the law. You've got to do it after every visit.
I didn't see any law in it. They have been so confused, I didn't know the big end from the small. I went to the rabbi to get some advice.
You are not the fool. They are the fools. For he who causes his neighbor to feel shame loses paradise itself. You are not the fool.
The world of the singer so loved and lost, and it was vanished. And he just kept on writing about all the people he loved and cared about. And to bring back this world to you, this place, was very, very special. Thank you very much.
Then Bugore, of course. Bugore is one of the most important place on our journey, because this is the town where Bashevitz singer grew up.
The first thing I did when I got to Belgorod was to go to the statue of Isaac Bashevis Singer.
I lived there. It was called Belgorod, where my grandfather was a rabbi. The majority were Jewish people, and since they were pious, they lived according to the law as people lived 100 or 200 years ago. About 4 years, from 15 to 19, I lived in this village, which was a kind of a God-forsaken village. And I would say that these 4 years have given me a lot of experience which was necessary for my work.
I felt the presence of Isaac Bashevis Singer growing closer and closer. Here I was, about to perform Gimpel the Fool in Belgorod, Singer's hometown. They even interviewed me for Polish TV.
Sheva Singer, I think, is a genius. He's my favorite writer. My grandparents were from Lemberg, which is now Lvov. So for me, it's kind of closing a circle.
Gimpla Głupka, adaptację opowiadania Zimpera, Howard Wright gra od 13 lat na scenach różnych miejsc na świecie.
This is me with hair, believe it or not. I did have some hair 200 years ago.
Our house, my older brother was a writer. When I was a young boy, he was already grown up. He was 11 years older than I, and he was writing.
And I looked up to him with love and admiration, but it was actually my master in literature. And when I went to Warsaw, and my brother took me to the Writers' Club, I felt at home like a fish in water. Oh, this is the Yiddish newspaper Heint. Here they announce Yoshikal, my brother's play.
In 1933, my grandfather's brother, I.J. Singer, was invited for the premiere of a show that was performed according to his story, Yoshikal, with Morris Schwartz as a main actor. And I know that many important people were invited and attended, like Einstein. After the show was a big success, my grandfather's brother got the opportunity to help my grandfather to get a visa to come to the United States. In 1935, my grandfather received the visa, and at that time he and my grandmother and my father decided to leave. He had a problem because my grandmother and my father, that was about 4 years old, they were not able to come. They did not receive a visa. And my grandmother also wanted to go to Russia because parts of her family were there and she was a communist. He decided to go to New York and never came back to Poland.
I thought of Singer. He said he'd never return because for him Poland was one big graveyard. But if he came back to Belgorod and saw how he was commemorated everywhere, would he feel honored or betrayed, as were so many of the Jews? Singer explored the theme of betrayal when Gimpel was conned into marrying the town whore. A betrayal he doesn't even realize until one night when his bakery oven breaks down.
There was nothing to do but go home. So I'll go home. Let me taste the joy of sleeping in my own bed in midweek. As I enter the house, I hear the sound of not one snore, but as it were a double snore. One was a thin enough snore, but the other was like the sound of an ox being slaughtered. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And then I get closer to the bed. What do you think I see? Next to the balcony, in the form of a man. Enough of being a sucker. I'm not going to be a donkey for the rest of my life. There's a limit to the foolishness of even a fool like Gimpel.
I looked out at the audience. I couldn't help thinking, what did their parents do? What did their grandparents do? Or what did they not do during the war? And I had a feeling that I wanted to bring about some kind of reckoning, to make them realize, to remember what happened. And it was a strange feeling about it, and a bit of a frustration, wanting to punish them for what the Polish people did to the Jewish people. I had that inside me. It was a horrible feeling of needing vengeance of some kind, of just putting it in front of their face and saying, look, this is the world of the Sheva Singer that was, and it's no longer.
Whether he's a saint or whether he's a fool, it's the people around him that were cruel. Almost today. Almost saint. I think I tried to balance. Zapytałem, czy dzisiaj ten był głupkiem, czy był świętym. He was was pretty foolish.
My teachers, they told me about Poland, that was multicultural, but they didn't show me the role of Jewish people in pre-war society, the Polish society. They told me about the concentration camps and death camps during the World War II. And for example, in Majdanek, they told me about 49 nationalities, nations who were murdered in Majdanek. From France, from Germany, from Netherlands, from Belarus, from Ukraine, from Poland, of course. But they forgot to add one small word: Jews from France, Jews from Netherlands, Jews from Belarus and the others.
I visit a monument commemorating a mass grave. In this region, it's the same horrific tragedy, village after village, town after town. All the Jewish men, women, and children are herded to the outskirts of town, shot, and buried there. Is this sign or monument all that is left to preserve their memory? What if all the ghosts woke up from this mass grave? Or should they just be left in their silence, forgotten?
Well, when you come to Lublin, you have to come to this place, and then theater. More than 30 years ago, when the group of friends wanted to make the theater just avant-garde theater, we didn't think about this kind of the activity, and about the activity of the gate as a center of the memory. That time we wanted to make the theater.
We decided to change our artistic activity, the theater, and concentrate on testimonies, on photos, on documents.
Ale powiem szczerze, że w jakimś sensie czuję się wybrany przez to miejsce. Dlatego historia Bramy Grodzkiej to jest moja historia. Bo to miejsce uświadomiło mi, że miasto nie pamięta o swoich życiach. A większość ludzi w ogóle nic nie wie o tym. Ludzie często chcieli o nich zapomnieć. Te historie były tak jak te dzieci bez rodziców. Zbudowałem mi specjalne miejsce, tak jak ochronka.
That's the idea of NN, no name theater. Jewish people, they lost during the war not only their lives, they lost also their identities. Jews, they were our neighbors, and we forgot. We built the monuments for some other people, but we didn't build any memory for them. It's not fair.
Throughout Lublin, Theater NN has left its mark, preserving the memory of the Jews that lived here. I saw the amazing mural of the ghetto streets based on documented photographs. The mural was painted at the same level where the street actually was at that time. In Lublin, nearly all 43,000 Jews lived in a ghetto. Liquidation took 4 weeks, 1 month. I visited the station where they were taken to board the trains, the Umschlagplatz, where Theater NN created an installation to commemorate this place.
There were thousands of people there, Jewish people. And as far as I'm concerned, this was the center of the universe. This is Kochmann Street. This is where I was brought up. All my writings are about Kochmann Street. This is the way they look. This is the way I look.
25 years of our activity, we have collections. And on those collections, we build educational and artistic projects. Following Varshavy Zinger Traces Festival is the part of that activity.
Okay, so we're going now out and we went inside here. There's a small stage, there will be our dressing room there, so dressing rooms, toilet, everything. So follow me and I hope somebody gonna open us. We create for this short time in the group, the 20 persons we're traveling together at the moment, a small work, which I think only 2 weeks. The most important is the change, like the theater has to have change the audience and change something. And this, I always think my artists a bit laughing and a bit being serious, that let's change this fucking word just a little bit.
I would say that there is a gift in every human being. There is also a fool in every saint. The saint really believes that what he is, he can make all of humanity like him. And this is his foolishness. But without this naivety, without this foolishness, humanity wouldn't have reached the little which it has reached until now. In this respect, I am one of these fools.
I was not prepared to be confronted with the anti-Semitism that came in the form of a doll.
And do you know why they're holding money?
To make happiness.
To make happiness.
I started to lose it.
But this brings luck.
Yes, she said yes.
Yes? Do you sell a lot of these? To me, it's sort of anti-Semitic. You know what I mean, anti-Semitic?
And I confronted the woman. I said, I think they're anti-Semitic. And then I felt bad. Why should I accuse her? Why should I do that? Maybe it is really innocent. Maybe it's not. Maybe they think it's just lucky Jews.
I had a personal situation that my friends, they gave me as a gift. This kind of painting, very beautiful, low. But I told them, I don't want it. I don't accept this kind of the tradition. No, it's not mine. I'm absolutely against it.
First of all, it's a long tradition of figurines made from wooden, dating back in 19th century. Not only Jewish community, but all of the neighbors living together in Krakow. Context has changed after World War II. And because those figurines never has been presented with grosz, with coins or with money. Krakowians, they didn't feel that there's something wrong. They just imagined that this Jew with coin brings luck.
Obviously, they exploit an anti-Semitic stereotype of the greedy Jew. To an extent, I can accept as valid explanations that it was more a form of admiration that the Jews are good at money and we're not. And note, these are not cartoonish presentations of Jews, okay? The harm is through the constant stress and association between Jews and money.
Those souvenirs, they are not neutral, they are painful, they are treated by especially Jewish visitors as a confirmation of Polish anti-Semitism or even And mayor of the city, Professor Majkowski, asked me to work on this issue. That city will make every effort on raising awareness about the possible impact, about the feelings of Jewish visitors in the town.
I am not much of an optimist, and I was afraid that the Nazis may come in any day. I was in deadly fear that it might happen soon.
If I wanted to go to Auschwitz now, what would you tell me that I should prepare myself? How should I prepare myself to go and see a death camp?
I think it's impossible to prepare you for that. Why? What is the reason to kill the people in a camp? Even if they had the information about mass executions in Belgians, they didn't believe in it. So don't ask me to believe what is going on in Auschwitz, because we are not ready for that. Still, we are not ready to understand. We can describe that, but still, I don't understand. I can't find the answer. Why?
As I left Krakow, I knew I could not avoid going to Auschwitz, which was less than an hour away. I brought along Michelle Singer's autobiography, Love in Exile. I had to travel to Paris by train through Nazi Germany. Other Jewish passengers were forced to get off the train, were searched, and subjected to other indignities. I would be proceeding directly into the hands of the evildoers. They could easily take away my passport and visa and send me to a concentration camp. I grasped the danger, but somehow fear within me had gone into a kind of hibernation, to be replaced by a sense of fears. I was overcome by a fatigue that comes with old age. I cut off whatever roots I had in Poland, yet I knew I would remain a stranger here to my last day. Nothing is left for me in the future. I again had to tell myself I was a corpse. I wrote in a dying language about a non-existent world. My past is my future. Those ovens sure aren't for baking bread. As I started back to rejoin the festival, I began to take a hard look at the Polish people around me. And I decided to ask all the workers at Theater NN if they ever had felt resistance or even hate from the Polish people for the work that they've been trying to do.
Some woman that's more or less in my age, she walked and she asked me, what is going on here? And I said, so this is the festival. I'm going to give you the information about that because the whole information you have in our newspaper. And I took one piece and I gave her and I said, this is the singer festival. And in that moment she said, no, I don't want. So, sorry, I don't want.
me like asking like you are from Israel, you are Jewish. I said no, I'm not. And all of them they are Jewish. I said most of them they're not Jewish. They're from different countries. I'm talking about our artists, and they are and then they ask me, so why are you doing this? We are not interested in this kind of stories.
They just threw the bricks in my window, my house.
Oh yes?
Ze swastykami.
The swastiks.
On your house?
Nawet pod domem bomby, a bomby mi podłożono.
Even bombs in my house.
I wanted to get angry, but that's my misfortune exactly. I don't have it in me to be really angry. I mean, there's bound to be a slip sometimes. You can't live without errors. You see a mannequin or a figure at night and you go up closer and it's nothing. There's nothing there. Oh, I vowed to always believe what I was told. What's the point of not believing? Today it's man you don't believe in. Tomorrow it's God himself you won't take stock in. Today isn't yesterday. And yesterday isn't today. Today isn't yesterday, yesterday isn't today. Today isn't yesterday, yesterday isn't today. Today isn't yesterday, yesterday isn't today. Today is yesterday. And yesterday is today.
The year is 2019 on Easter Friday in Prudnik, a small town in southeastern Poland. There, residents, among them many children, gathered together at the center of town to revive and reenact a medieval anti-Semitic ritual. An effigy representing Judas, the disciple of Christ who had betrayed him, was dressed as a Jew, dragged through the streets and beaten with sticks.
As I was driving towards Prudnik, I summoned up my courage. I knew now that I must confront the mayor of the town.
You speak English? Maybe you can translate. I wrote a letter to the mayor. He didn't answer, but I was hoping I could speak to him.
Oh, he's just coming.
Ah, okay. So maybe I could speak to him. Is it okay?
You need to ask.
Sir, do you speak English? No? Maybe I can translate. Okay, my name is Howard Britt. I understand you're the mayor of Prudnik. Okay, I'm doing a film. I'm from Israel, and we heard that we saw just across the street there was a tradition that they took a doll of Judah and beat it and put it on fire.
Ten pan był tutaj parę lat temu i widział na Wielkanoc tę figurę Judasza, którą kiniami wierni biją. Chciał zadać parę pytań na ten temat. Pochodzi z Izraela.
Tego nie ma. To był zwyczaj barbarzyński. To wyeliminowaliśmy i kilka lat temu była taka prowokacja zrobiona i mam nadzieję, że tego więcej nie będzie.
So it's not happening anymore.
I nie będzie.
And it will never be.
Actually, when I expressed outrage about the Prudnik incident, a leading senator from the ruling party, Mr. Żarin, said that I should not speak about stuff that's none of my
this is the truth, that during the war, Poles, some of Poles, were the heroes, and they are nominated for the title of righteous among the nations. Some of them, they were just witness. They saw around, they saw the fate of their neighbors, all unknown Jewish people. And the third, that they were the Polish end killers and collaborators. And you know that the problem is that we all, the whole Polish nation, should accept that, that truth. And from that moment, when you have that knowledge, you can start with the narration.
Where is everybody? Where did everybody go?
Gimpel, why do you sleep?
What should I be doing? Eating krepla?
The whole world deceives you.
Deceives me?
And you should deceive the world in return.
Well, how can I deceive the world?
You might accumulate a bucket of urine every day, and at night pour it into the dough.
Urine?
Let the sages of Frampol eat filth.
But what about the judgment in the world to come?
There is no world to come. They've sold you a bill of goods and talked you into believing you're carrying a cat in your belly. What nonsense.
Well, is there a God?
There is no God either.
Well, what is there then?
A thick mire.
I was brought up in a home where the supernatural was really our daily life. We all believed in spirit, in angels, and in demons, and in devils. I was born almost with a terrible fear of these higher powers.
Revenge them. Revenge the whole town. Piss in the bread. Piss in the bread. Do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Do it. Do it. You're all liars. You're all liars. Everybody's a liar. You're all liars.
What have you done, Gimpel?
It's all your fault.
Oh, you fool, you fool! Because I was false, is everything false too? I never deceived anyone but myself. I'm paying for it all, Gimpel. They spared you nothing here.
Everything was turning black. I felt like my whole world hung in the balance. One false step, and I'd lose eternal life forever. God gave me his help.
You are not the fool. You are not the fool.
That evil spirit has taken root in you and dazzled your sight. Get out, or I'll scream all trample on man! Get out! Get out!
As the son of a people who receives the world's blows with human madness can inflict, I must brood and ponder the forthcoming danger. But a new hope always emerges, telling me that it is not yet too late for all of us to take spur and make a decision.
What are you doing? I know what I'm doing. I'm burying the bread. You be well, and you forget that one such as Gimpel ever existed.
And so instead of seeking revenge, Gimpel buried the bread.
Why the Almighty has chosen to give us first the Holocaust and then our country, I don't know, and I cannot tell you. It seems to me a very kind of terrible bargain. I believe that God speaks through deeds. Whatever is destined will come one way or another. Be yourself and act according to your nature, and the rest leave to God Almighty. We come here again and again to correct certain mistakes which we did in our former lives. I would say that the image changes, but the soul is the same.
When I came to this country, the first few years, I felt that I was lost in America.
So I had plenty of troubles and plenty of things to worry about. I lived through a crisis for many years. I did not write any fiction in this country. People told to me, if you write in Yiddish, in addition, you write about your demons, there is no chance for you at all. You will never be known, you will never make a living from this writing. It took me years. But thank God, one day I decided I'm going to do my work, no matter what happens.
I have created a literature which is half autobiography and half fiction. I began to mix fiction with reality to such a degree that after a while I was bewildered myself. I didn't know what is really autobiography and what is fiction.
I put on my short coat, a pair of boots, took the bag that held my prayer shawl in one hand, my stick in the other, and kissed the mezuzah. When people saw me in the street, they were greatly surprised. "Where are you going, Gimpel?" they said. I answered, "Into the world," and so I departed from Frankfurt.
So I left Frankfurt. I wandered across the land, and good people did not neglect me. After many years, I grew old and white. This is something that could never, ever have happened.
sitting at strange tables, I spin yarns of improbable tales of windmills and demons and angels and the like. The children, they run after me and say, "Grandfather, tell us a story." Sometimes they ask for particular stories. I try to please them. So it is with dreams, too. It's many years since I left Frample, but as soon as I shut my eyes, I'm there again. No doubt that this world, it's entirely an imaginary world, but it's only once removed from the real world.
We started to teach the people the song, because this is the song which has very strong, for me, very strong connection to the idea of this festival. We are making the bridge between the past and present, between the present and future, between the literature and real life, between the real life and circus and theater and music, between the real situation, history, and the art.
As I sang and danced with these beautiful and innocent Polish children, the words of the Hasidic song rang true. The world is a very narrow bridge, and the only thing is not to be afraid at all. Basheva Singer created a bridge, a link between two worlds, the seen and the unseen, between God and man. I tried to bring Basheva Singer's character of Gimpel to life again here in Poland. And like Gimpel, I tried to look for the good. And I found it in people like Wittek and all the others at Theater NN, but also in the seen and unseen thousands of good, ordinary people who came to see my show and who were trying to deal with the past, to make amends, however impossible it may seem. It may be the only way to make a tikkun olam, to heal this world.
Maybe that 100 years from now, no one will speak Yiddish, but I'm not sure that it is so. I think people may still speak it. This business about a dying language does not frighten me at all. As a matter of fact, we can say about every human being that we are dying human beings. We don't live forever. This does not mean that we should not enjoy life and need human passion.
I opened the gate to the place that they carry away the dead. The grave digger Jew has his spade ready. The grave is warm and the worms are hungry.
When the time comes, I will go joyfully. Whatever is there will be real, without complication, without deception, without ridicule. God be praised. There, even Gimpel cannot be